Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Shri Rajo Vacha Katham Sa Bhagavan Ramo Bratran Vaswayam Atmana Tasmin Vate Navartante Prajaporascha Ishware. Synonyms: Shri Raja Uvacha, Maharaj Parikshit inquired. Katam, how? Sa, he, the Lord. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Raja, Rama, Lord Ramachandra. Bratran, unto the brothers Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna. Va, either. Swayam, personally. Atmana, expansions of his person. Tasmin, unto the Lord. Va, either. Te, they, all the inhabitants and brothers. Anvavartante, behaved. Praja, all the inhabitants. Bauda, the citizens. Cha, and. Ishwari, unto the Supreme Lord. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, how did the Lord conduct himself and how did he behave in relationship with his brothers, who were expansions of his own self? How did his brothers and the inhabitants of Ayodhya treat him? So we're going to move on to the next verse because that one does not have a commentary. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Ata Disha Dikvijay Bratram Stri Bhuvaneshvara Atmanam Darshayan Swanam Purim Akshita Sanuga. Sukadeva Goswami replied, after accepting the throne of the government by the fervent request of his younger brother Bharat, Lord Ramachandra ordered his younger brothers to go out and conquer the entire world, while he personally remained in the capital to give audience to all the citizens and residents of the palace and supervise the governmental affairs with his other assistants. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead does not allow any of his devotees or assistants to be engaged in sense gratification. The younger brothers of Lord Ramachandra were at home enjoying the personal presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the Lord ordered them to go out and achieve victory all over the world. It was the custom, and this custom in some places is still current, that all other kings would have to accept the supremacy of the emperor. If a king of a small state did not accept the emperor's supremacy, there would be a fight, and the king of the small state would be obliged to accept the emperor as supreme. Otherwise, it would not be possible for the emperor to rule the country. Lord Ramachandra showed his favor to his brothers by ordering them to go out. Many of the Lord's devotees residing in Vrindavan have taken a vow not to leave Vrindavan to preach Krishna consciousness, but the Lord says that Krishna consciousness should be spread all over the world in every town and village. This is the open order of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Pritivitya Achayata Nagaradigram Sarvata Prachara Hoibe Moranam. A pure devotee, therefore, must execute the order of the Lord and must not gratify his senses by remaining stagnant in one place, falsely proud, thinking that because he does not leave Vrindavan but chants in a solitary place, he has become a great devotee. A devotee must carry out the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yada Dekha Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh. Every devotee, therefore, should spread Krishna consciousness by preaching, asking whoever he meets to accept the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord says, Sarva Dharman Paritajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. This is the order of the Lord who speaks as the Supreme Emperor. Everyone should be induced to accept this order, for this victory, Digvijay. And is the duty of the soldier, the devotee, to impress upon everyone this philosophy of life. Of course, those who are Kanishta Adhikaris do not preach, but the Lord shows mercy to them also, as he did by staying personally in Ayodhya to give audience to the people in general. One should not mistakenly think that the Lord asked his younger brother to leave Ayodhya because he especially favored the citizens. The Lord is merciful to everyone, and he knows how to show his favor to each individual person according to his capacity. One who abides by the order of the Lord is a pure devotee. Om Jnanatimamandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramunitamina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mene Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamyam Dadati Swaparandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapara Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyashta Kapasindhuvya Vachapaditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarina Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, I'd like to offer my obeises and my request to all the Vaishnavas, especially any senior Vaishnavas who may be listening, that I may be able to say something beneficial to everyone, most of all beneficial to myself. So this chapter is talking about Lord Ramachandra's pastimes, more the pastimes of what happened after the Ramayana. As we know, he conquered Ravana and went back to Ayodhya, and in Ayodhya he I'm not sure if it's already been discussed, but he overheard someone talking about his wife Sita in a negative way, and then so what happened after that was that he banished Sita to the forest, where she gave birth to his two sons, and she then was entered back into the earth. This is how the pastime plays out. So this part of it is talking about how Lord Ramachandra sent his constituents out to conquer, basically. And he himself stayed in the kingdom. So there are a few points that Srila Prabhupada brings up in this purport. The first one is that he talks about many of the Lord's devotees residing in Vrindavan have taken the vow not to leave Vrindavan to preach Krishna consciousness. But the Lord says Krishna consciousness should be spread all over the world in every town and village. So Srila Prabhupada's connecting Ramachandra's people, or his brothers, going out to conquer the entire world. And he's making an analogy to the Lord telling devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu telling the devotees that go out and preach this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Pritiviti achiyata nagaradi gram sarvatra prachara hoibe moranam, which means that in every town and village, my holy name will be heard. So as we know, Srila Prabhupada has imbibed that mood very much in the olden days of Krishna consciousness, of ISKCON, of going to different places, remote places, sending out his disciples to remote places to preach Krishna consciousness. Now, also in the Bhagavad Gita, it says about how the dearest one to me is the one who preaches this message to others. So this is a very important point, that we always try to tell others about Krishna, whoever we may meet. Doesn't necessarily mean that we, about the numbers, because sometimes we can get caught up in, okay, how many books did I distribute, or how many people did I bring to Krishna consciousness? Of course, those are wonderful things, but sometimes we can get caught up in that, and we can get caught up in the results of sharing Krishna consciousness without thinking of what the point is, which is giving from our heart, giving something real. So what preaching is a natural overflow of one's own Krishna consciousness. When one's Krishna consciousness comes to a certain point, then the overflow of that is where you feel the enthusiasm to go and share with others. Like it says in the end of this purport that the Kanishta Adhikari does not preach. Of course, those who are Kanishta Adhikaris do not preach, but the Lord shows them mercy also. Because what is the Kanishta Adhikari? The Kanishta Adhikari is one who only sees the Lord in the temple. He or she does not see the Lord in other places or in other people. It's like a very narrow view. Sometimes we use the word Kanishta Adhikari as like a pejorative, but it's actually not a pejorative. It's actually just a stage. It's actually the adhikar. It's actually just a qualification. So the preaching is the platform of a madhyam adhikari, the middle stage. Just like it said that there might be someone who's an uttam adhikari, but to preach, and to share Krishna consciousness, he has to come down to the madhyam adhikari stage to preach Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada also talks in this purport about someone who may gratify his senses by staying in a solitary place and becoming falsely proud and chants and feels like he has become a great devotee. So there's a paper written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur called Vaishnava K. And in that paper, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur talks about, he's basically speaking to his mind. Vaishnava K means what kind of Vaishnava are you? So so he's speaking to his mind that you stay in a solitary place and you chant, but all it is cheating. Because what is that person doing? Just staying in a solitary place, he's in a comfortable place and just chanting, but he's mostly like sleeping, and he thinks himself to be a great devotee, but it's actually just cheating. So I think I found some quotes regarding this. Let's see if I can pull it up. Before that, let's talk about this verse here. Okay, this is in the Madhya Lila. To deliver all fallen souls, the Lord traveled from country to country. He personally tasted the transcendental pleasure of devotional service, and he simultaneously spread the cult of devotion everywhere. This is describing Lord Chaitanya, and this is where Prativiti Achiyatan, that verse is quoted, although it's a verse from Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally traveled to different regions of India to spread the bhakti cult throughout the country. He also personally relished the transcendental activities. By his personal behavior, he has given the example for all devotees to follow. That is, one should broadcast the cult of devotional service. He specifically instructed his devotees to enjoin all Indians to broadcast his message throughout the world, because at that time the Lord could not personally travel to other parts of the world. So this is called para upakar. It's the greatest welfare work. A Vaishnava is especially interested in para upakar, doing good to others. Prahlad Maharaj was also interested in this. He did not want to be delivered alone. Rather, he wanted to deliver all fallen souls who are bereft of knowledge of bhakti and misuse their intelligence for the temporary benefit of all of the material body. Prahlad Maharaj was in Chaitanya Leela was, I believe, Vasudev Ghosh, who was told that you would not be who actually said, I want to be delivered last. I want everyone else to be delivered from this bondage of the material world before me. So that was Prahlad Maharaj's mood. Even in his prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, he said, all these fools and rascals, they're trying to, gratify their senses, but I feel so much pain. I feel so much compassion for them. I want them to be delivered as well. So this is the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. This was the mood of Lord Chaitanya. This is the mood of Srila Prabhupada. This is the mood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who preached all over India. He's opened up 108 mutts all over India, I think maybe even more. But that was his mood, this para upakar, doing this welfare work. And what kind of welfare work is this? This is to help people understand that you are not this body. This experience that you're having, this is not you. You are actually the servants of Krishna. You actually have a amazing opportunity of developing your Krishna consciousness and becoming supremely happy and satisfied in your life. This is the para upakar, preaching Krishna consciousness. So then he says, following in his footsteps, you are trying to broadcast his message all over the world. By his mercy, people are taking this movement very seriously. Indeed, our books are extensively distributed in Western countries, especially in America and Europe. So book distribution was something that was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. He said, in a few minutes, what can you say to someone? But the book can speak so much more to people. And in this age, books are still making devotees all over the world. Book distribution is still going on. People still opening the books and reading them, and their lives are being transformed. And now further on, another kind of Brihat Mridanga media is the social media. People becoming devotees through social media as well. Even the ecclesiastical orders in these countries are preaching the value of Krishna consciousness movement. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may therefore take this movement seriously and broadcast it throughout the world, from village to village, from town to town, just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did. So we can all do our little part in Krishna consciousness to just tell our friends or tell someone you may think who may be interested or who may be, suffering, or, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, that there are certain people who are searching for God. Those who are looking for money, those who are in a lot of going through a lot of suffering, those who are yogis, those who are bhaktas. These are all people. I don't know if I got all of them, but there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita regarding those who are looking for God. So then the next point was, instruct everyone you meet about Krishna. Yare dekatare Krishna upadesh. This is from Madhya Lila 7:128. Instruct everyone to follow the order of Lord Shri Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. This is the next part of that verse. Amar Agya Guru Hai Tara Edesh. Now this is one of the arguments against those who say that people should not become gurus, that Prabhupada is the only guru. Of course, guruship is a very high thing, but it says here, this is Lord Chaitanya's instruction, that become a guru, become a spiritual master, and try to liberate everyone in this land. Let's look at the purport here. This is the sublime mission of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Many people come and inquire whether they have to give up family life to join the society, but this is not our mission. One can remain comfortably in his residence. We simply request everyone to chant the Maha Mantra. If one is a little literate, one can read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So, this is the point here, that one should chant at his home, one should read Srimad Bhagavatam. Hearing and chanting are the most important things. And then Srila Prabhupada talks in that purport about abandoning all varieties of religion. The Lord says, Sarva Dharman Paritaja, abandon all varieties of religion. This is the order of the Lord, who speaks as the Supreme Emperor. One should be induced to accept this order, for this is victory. It's the duty of the devotee to impress upon everyone this philosophy of life. So this philosophy of life, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear, ma suchaha. So this is a nice purport. Also, the process of surrender to Krishna described in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. This is a famous verse, Anukulyasya Sankalpa, Partikulyasya Varjanam. According to devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to devotional service of the Lord. So these are the six, actually, the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. Anukulyasya, Goptripte Varnam Tata Atmanikshepa Karpanya Sadvida. 6 limbs. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. So only accepting those things that are favorable for Krishna consciousness, rejecting those things that are not favorable for Krishna consciousness. Those are the first 2 steps of surrender, Sharanagati. There is no need of thinking how one should keep his body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. That's so hope-giving. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. Gopripte Varnam Tata means embracing the guardianship of the Lord. So this is what Prabhupada is telling that the devotees of Krishna consciousness, of ISKCON, should be preaching to people, that you have no need to think of your own maintenance. You simply have to surrender to Krishna. If you surrender to Krishna by the process of devotional service, Krishna will see to that. He will see to your needs. And one should think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord and full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination and material nature. So this purification method, this is important, an important point to understand, because this is how we can become satisfied in life. This is how we can preach to others how they can be happy and satisfied in life. Of course, in the higher stages, it's not that we are only striving for happiness ourselves, but actually for the happiness of Krishna, the pleasure of Krishna. Everything is done for the pleasure of Krishna. But when we're introducing Krishna consciousness, there's a certain way of doing that according to someone's adhikar, according to the time, place, and circumstance. We try to introduce Krishna consciousness to others. Just like Srila Prabhupada, right out the gate, he didn't say, no meat eating, no intoxication, no sex, no gambling, etc., to the devotees in New York and 26 Second Avenue. Although he kind of early brought that up, but mostly he was like, just chant Hare Krishna. You're not this body. Understand you're not this body, and chant Hare Krishna and listen and hear from me. And what happened was that devotees, through the bhakti shakti of Srila Prabhupada, his purity, their hearts were transformed. And then Prabhupada introduced other things to them. Okay, I mean, there's a story where, they would, I think just before they got initiated, some of them like went out for donuts or something like that. This is the kind of people Srila Prabhupada was dealing with. Not that it was bad, but it was just the reality of that time, and those kind of people like the hippies, so, like very unclean and unclean habits and things. But Srila Prabhupada didn't judge them in a way like, oh, you're not pure, or you're not worth, this amazing gift of Krishna consciousness. He didn't think like that. He's very like tolerant of. It's amazing to think how tolerant Srila Prabhupada was of everyone when he first came. Like even when he came to Sally Agarwal and Gopal Agarwal's house in Butler, Pennsylvania, like he would put his in the refrigerator, he would put his the prasadam he'd cooked in the same refrigerator next to like the meat and things. I think Sally Agarwal was remembering. And also Gopal Agarwal would smoke cigarettes, and he would just he Prabhupada didn't think much of it. Even when Shamasundar was carving like Jagannath, he was smoking. And Prabhupada very calmly told and very softly told him like this little thing is between you and Krishna, like this, pointing to the cigarette, such a small thing to have between you and the Lord. So the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes we can be so judgmental towards people or to devotees and kind of use, quotes or things like that against devotees. But when we think about Srila Prabhupada as a person and how he dealt with new people, how he dealt with his new disciples, just like so much compassion, so much tolerance. And I think that doesn't always come out from the books. It mostly comes out when we hear memories of those who have interacted with Srila Prabhupada. Anyway, my point is that we have to, when we're preaching Krishna consciousness, we have to deal with people in a very soft and compassionate way. Sometimes we can throw quotes, or we can throw, this kind of a thing like, oh, you're gonna go to hell if you don't do this, or you're gonna do that. But that's not the way to share Krishna consciousness. First of all, sharing Krishna consciousness is a mood of giving and also of friendship and of sharing. That when you have something that's precious to you, naturally you want to give that to others. That's like a premise that I sometimes use when I'm talking to someone new. It's like, we have something so wonderful, and in our culture of Krishna conscious, we want to share that with others. When you have something nice, you want to share it. Like if you have something nice to eat or something, if you meet someone, hey, I got this thing, it's really amazing. You should try it, and you share that with others, not in a way that like pushing it down on their throat, especially in this day and age. Gosh, even it's been 40 years, like 50 years since Srila Prabhupada started the movement. It's changed so much the way we share Krishna consciousness with people. Of course, there are those people who will immediately take to it like, fish and water, just read the book, and it's like, I'm ready to go. But then there's people where you have to kind of be a little bit more tactful. And of course, not in a way that will compromise our own principles. So there's a balance that needs to be had in the way we share Krishna consciousness. That's sticking to our principles, but at the same time, meeting people where they're at. Let's see, okay. And then Srila Prabhupada talks in the purport about, at the end of it, the Lord is merciful to everyone, and he knows how to show his favor to each individual person according to his capacity. Excuse me. So that reminded me of the verse, "Ye tamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham," that as all surrender unto me, I will reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pratha. That as much as you surrender to Krishna, he will reveal himself to that devotee, as much as they are able to surrender. Because Krishna is not really seeing what you're giving, he's kind of seeing what you're holding back. What are we holding back in our devotional lives that we may not even consciously know what that we're holding back, but that someone else may be able to tell you? That's why it's very important to associate with sadhus, with have sadhu sangha, and have a guru in one's life, because the guru can tell you, what are you holding back? If they know you well enough, they can tell you. Whether it's a Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru, both are very, very important. Shiksha Guru is very important because just like there's a story of one sadhu who heard from a devotee, "Oh, I will just read the books. I'll just read the books." And then the sadhu said, "Come here." And he pulled his ear. I think I told this story before. And he pulled his ear. He said, "Ow, what'd you do that for?" And he said, "The book cannot do that." So the point is, the book cannot tell you, "Namras, you eat too much chocolate," or something. I mean, I don't eat that much chocolate, but I'm just saying the point. The point is, you're not doing this correctly. You're not chanting correctly. You have some kind of misconception here regarding this siddhanta. You need to get your act together. The book can't do that. A person needs to do that. A person, Bhagavat, needs to do that for you. Let's look at this purport. So this is describing basically that if we approach Krishna in a certain mood, then he reciprocates according to that. So consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. So one devotee may want Krishna as the supreme master, personal friend, son, lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the Supreme Entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. So our wish is to serve the Lord personally according to our particular mood that may not be developed yet as newer sadhakas, but will be developed later in our devotional lives of how we want to relate with the Lord. And of course, we want to stay away from the impersonalist feature, impersonalist desire of being with the Lord, of just merging into the Lord, because the individuality is not there of each soul, of each mood. And there's a certain like homogeneousness that is desired by those who want to, as Prabhupada says here, commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of a living entity. We all have our individuality. This is very important. And it's very hope-giving that I have a personal relationship with Krishna that's unique to me. Just as in the Rasa Leela, the gopis, each gopi thought that you see that painting where Krishna's dancing with each gopi, but actually, I think he was one, but they all felt they were personally dancing with Krishna. So this is a very beautiful conception of the Lord that's only found in our Siddhanta, our Gaudiya Siddhanta, that we all have individual relationship with the Lord, whether it's a lover or as a servant or as Krishna as the Lord being our child or our friend. So this can be revealed to us via our hearing and chanting. And Prabhupada also explains about preaching. Very important, because we can preach when, as I said, when there's an overflow. Also, not just when overflow, but if we feel like this is something, we have to understand it. If we feel like this is something valuable, then we should share it with others. Whether it's by book distribution or Harinam or just telling a friend about it. So, and another point I wanted to make was there's a little bit of sometimes apparent contradictions. So this is a purport here, where preaching work is meant for advanced devotees, and when advanced devotees is further elevated in devotional scale, he may retire to chant the Hare Krishna mantra in a solitary place. So this is supposedly contradicting what was said earlier in that previous purport, that, oh, you shouldn't sit in a solitary place and you should not just sit in a solitary place and chant Hare Krishna because it's just cheating. But actually, as I mentioned, this is a Madhyama Adhikari practice, preaching. And it says here, when advanced devotees further elevated in devotional scale, then he may retire to chant Hare Krishna in a solitary place. So the point is that when one has done sufficient preaching work, the later on in life, it will be that one can retire to a solitary place and chant Hare Krishna. However, one simply imitates advanced spiritual life. This is the next part of it. He will fall down, just like Sahajyas in Vrindavan. So one should not imitate Haridas Thakur, is the point. One should not imitate Haridas Thakur's chanting of 300,000 names or 192 rounds and just sit and chant in a solitary place without anyone around, thinking he's advanced, but actually sleeping. And then the next point I wanted to make was regarding preaching work. Of course, preaching is necessary, but Srila Prabhupada also mentioned about boiling the milk. Here are a few quotes regarding boiling the milk. Now I want that we should concentrate on making our devotees Krishna conscious and ourselves becoming Krishna conscious, not be so much concerned with expanding ourselves widely, but without any spiritual content. Just like boiling the milk, it becomes thicker and sweeter. Now do like that, boil the milk. We may thin the milk till it becomes useless, or we may boil it until it becomes thick and sweet. So now we have got enough followers. Let us train them up perfectly in the philosophy and activities of Krishna conscious way of life. Unless all of my students become very much fixed up in their spiritual progress, what is the use of so many programs for expansion? So anyways, they're simple. It's all similar quotes from letters. So the point here is that, of course, expansion is necessary, but Prabhupada is saying, what is the point of expansion when we have basically many, many Kanishta adhikaris? The point is that we should educate our devotees that we have in Krishna consciousness, make sure they're following nicely, they're advancing in Krishna consciousness. Well, what is the use of having so much expansion, but you're just making the milk thin, thin, thin? Boil it nicely and make it thick and sweet. So again, a balance needs to be had there, because we can't just say, boil the milk, shut down all the expansion efforts and just simply boil the milk. That also will not work. That also will not be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. But have a balance of that. Educate devotees nicely, those devotees we have, And when new people come, educate them also in Krishna consciousness. Make sure that they're becoming there. Make sure it's not just that we get people to join Krishna conscious and then we forget about them. That's something I feel we struggle with. That once someone becomes a devotee, then okay, he's become a devotee and that's it. No, it's not like that. Like someone asked, I think it was, I forgot who it was, but he for many years it hadn't become initiated. And I mean, this is kind of a heavy point. They asked him, why haven't you become initiated for so many years? And he said, I see how you treat your members, your initiated members. His point was that once you become initiated, you become kind of forgotten. Or, of course, it's not in every case, but I'm just saying that this is something that should be understood and should be worked on. I guess I can stop there. I'm sorry, it was a bit convoluted. A lot of different points came out in this purport. But if anyone wants to ask a question or make a comment, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, anyone?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I wanted to thank you for this. This was very good. It was a reminder of how not only to treat newcomers, but people who have been around or people who, like you said, haven't gotten initiated and wondering, why or if we can help them move along. I'm actually going to be living with someone soon who is not a devotee and thinking about, gosh, I've never really preached to people. And I don't want to come towards her as a, hell and what is it called? Hell and brimstone?
Brimstone.
Brimstone. But, I'd like to, by the way I present Krishna or the way I act, maybe make her more interested in
Sure.
what this is, right?
Yeah.
But I really appreciate everything you said about it. It was very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot about our example. Actions speak louder than words. Like you can't tell them you can't tell someone how to think or how to feel, but you can act in a certain way and make them feel in a certain way that you care about them. Like, for example, I have a neighbor here who is I help him, like he's just like a normal person. I help him whenever he asks for my help. I help him move things, and I just like kind of go out of my way to be really nice and things. Not because I want him to be devotee or anything, but that's like how Vaishnavas, how our Vaishnavas are. We just it's kind of like the example of the how we want to be for everyone. So, and then as time went on, he asked me a lot about like, because he sees me outside wearing a dhoti and tilak and things like. So he asked me like, "Hey, what's this about?" And like, what do all his like inhibitions about like kind of like walls he might have put up are completely broken because he's understood how like he's seen me as a person and how nice I am to him. So there's no like walls put up. And then when there's no walls put up, then there's like there's the ability to accept or to just not accept, but to see other points of view and to become very open, So I think in your case, just be a good friend, and everything else will fall into place, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think also like there's a lot of etiquette, right? A Brahmin leaves a place nicer
Exactly. Yeah.
than when he
Great
found
point.
it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to remember those kinds of things, just constantly giving her Krishna Prashadam or,
Yeah.
offering to do things. Yeah, that's
Like if you read the 26 qualities of a devotee, there's so much there about like kindness,
yes.
compassion, cleanliness, not speaking in a way that will be violent towards others, always speaking in a way that's pleasing to others. There's so many there's just normal human things. Sometimes we miss those kind of things.
Yeah, sure, totally. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank
Haribol.
you. Hare Krishna. Fire and brimstone. Yeah, sorry, that's what it was. Anyone else have anything, any other points, so we can end there? Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a great rest of your day. Haribol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.